and welcome to another episode of Sequin Girly Creates. This episode is part of the vlog tour for hashtag So Upcycle 23. I'm right towards the end of the vlog tour, so I'm sure you already know, if you've seen any others, what the rules are, what the prizes are. If you don't, head over to Notes from the Sewing Room. I'll link it below. She's on Instagram and on YouTube. There's some great prizes. It's being sponsored by Minerva and some other fantastic sewing brands, and so this is another great opportunity for you to get thinking, get sewing, and as I say, you've got to be in it to win it. The rules are to use anything other than fabric that was specifically bought to sew with, so you can use bedding, old clothes, old sheets, blankets, previous sewing projects, clothes you bought from charity shop, clothes from your own wardrobe or someone else's, thrifted, gifted, etc. You can make items of clothing or bags with it, nothing for pets though. And I will put a visual as I'm talking, but as I say, if you head over to Notes in the Sewing Room, there's an intro vlog about it, and there's lots of vloggers on the journey as well. I am amazed to say I am outside. It is the 22nd of October when I'm recording this in the UK, and although it says it's only 14 degrees Celsius, I can tell you now, sat here in full sun, it feels a lot warmer. I'm wearing my newly sewn Marlowe cardigan. I made a size 2 in a short, and I added these designs down the side. I do worry they might look a little bit like green fried eggs, but who cares? I enjoy wearing it. So what I'm going to do is split this into 3 parts. Part 1 is some ideas for you. Part 2, my plans. Then I'm going to go away and magically reappear with some of my plans, if not all of them, completed. So let's start with ideas. If you head over to the Busy Bee Sewing Challenge playlist, one of our challenges, our second one, was a upcycle one. And I actually created this bag, which was made from 2 skirts that I didn't wear anymore, and I turned it into a bag. I used an idea of a bag I saw, so it was a pleather skirt I had with this design and this plaid skirt. So you could definitely take some clothing you've got and make a bag. That's a great option because you can cut the pieces, you can join pieces together, and you can easily upcycle those into a bag. And then the other thing I did, and we've also got people like Gemini Stitches, Christine, and Carol, and Jen from Girl and Her Machine, and Sam from Let's Sparkle with Sam, who've also shared their ideas on how to upcycle as well. But the other thing I did for that challenge, which you could think about for this one as well, is to take 2 shirts that you don't love and either don't wear or whatever, and make them into one. So I did this. I had a black one and a tiger one. The tiger one was too big, and the black one I just didn't wear. It just wasn't me. And I turned them into one top, joined down the back. I'll put a picture in while I'm talking. One of the things I did when I was researching that is I actually put on both collars, so I've ended up with a double collar. That works really well because it unifies both sides of the shirt. So thinking about how to do collars and play with collars when you upcycle is a really great idea. And actually in my vlog on that, I do share a link to a place where you can get more ideas for that. So if you're struggling with how to get started, there's 2 things you can think about there. Joining 2 shirts together because it avoids having to do all the button plackets. It's all done for you. Oh great, helicopter, hang on. Right, helicopter's gone. Okay, so then the next thing that's a great upcycle opportunity is men's shirts. For many of us at home and in our family, there's often men's shirts around that are not wanted anymore for various reasons. Sometimes the collar's worn out, which you could take off, or too big, too small, etc. I'll put a picture in here of an upcycle I did using a man's shirt and turning it into a shirt dress. I used 2 purple men's shirts and mix and match the parts, and also then added some thrifted sheets, bedding to the skirt, and created a fully upcycled shirt dress from that. The other thing you could do is actually play around with like a larger shirt and make it smaller, adding in details. So I'll put a picture in here of a purple sort of plaid one I did, where I put a frill across the back and brought the sleeves in and made it fit me. So they're two great things you can do with something that may well be something you can find from family, friends, or in your own home, or you could buy from a charity shop or from a boot fair, etc. And then the other thing that I've shared before, but might be an idea you could think about, is actually some skirts that don't fit. Now, I actually have quite a lot of vintage Marks and Spencers when they were St Michael's clothing, but it don't have to be vintage, they don't have to be any particular brand, and they don't even have to be the same brand. It just happened that I had a lucky find. I had two pleated skirts, this teal colour and a white one. I think they must have been released around the same time because actually the buttonholes fitted, but I couldn't fit in either of them. So what I did was I split them into the width that I needed to make sure the skirt did fit me, and I actually created this out of the two skirts, and I'm really happy with that. So little tips are thinking about, if you've got pleats, how you join them together. And this one obviously was a button down front, and luckily they did match. If they don't, you can just take the buttons off and match them to the new button holes. So that's an idea as well. If you've got a couple of skirts that don't fit, can you play with them to create one skirt together that does? So that's my suggestions for you if you're looking just for some inspiration. Now I'm going to talk about my plans. Some of them fit with the kind of things I've spoken about, and some of them are completely different. So let's start with this gifted fleecy blanket. I've already on my previous blog cut a bit out, and I'm making a waistcoat with that. So that's a great use of like a fleecy blanket, and where you've got this edge, you can embrace that into the fleecy into the waistcoat as the curve at the bottom, which I've done. I'm also going to use this blanket to make some wrist/hand warmers. I made some last year out of a jumper. They're not the best quality, but they work. They were the first ever go at it. So now I'm going to cut some out of this fleece. When I'm typing at my computer in the winter at home, sometimes my hands get a bit fresh, or when you go out for a walk and you want your fingers out, this just creates that extra layer of protection. So old blankets, that sort of thing, old jumpers are perfect for doing this. I don't know if these would count in the hashtag upcycle. It is a piece of clothing. It's not for a pet, it's for me, but I don't know. But it is definitely something worth doing and will be used, if you see what I mean. Next thing is I have got two shirts here, two men's shirts that I am going to do. So they work perfectly together, almost like they're the inverse of each other. So I'm going to play this time, we're doing a larger collar. So I am going to have double collar, but I'm going to have larger around here. So I'm going to play with putting these two together. I then have a tablecloth here. If you watch some of my previous vlogs, you will have seen this as part of when I did a little tour of the vintage tablecloths and things that I had. And this one's got a lovely tasseled edge. So I'm going to make this into sort of a shawly, shackety jacket. Tablecloths are great for this sort of thing because they're soft. This one's quite stiff, which is nice, but also you can position your pattern pieces to miss any stains, because tablecloths have lived a life of delicious meals, as I said many vlog episodes ago, and you can place your pattern pieces or a pocket over a stain or do an embroidery design or something. So this is something that I'm going to use to turn into a shackety jacket, as I say, and embrace the tassels on the bottom. And I would strongly advise, again, you might have a tablecloth in your own home that you don't use anymore because it's got a stain on it. This is a great use for it. Or it's the kind of thing, again, if you ask a family member, there's probably one kicking around somewhere. Now, I showed you a skirt I did previously where I did two halves. I've actually got a couple of other skirts that sadly I don't fit in the waist anymore. I'm just finding the other two. So I've got this one, which sadly doesn't fit me, but I love it. Look at that, there's no way I'm getting in that. It is amazing. This one, there's no way that's going around my waist. And this one, which I've already altered the waist on once before because it was a really deep waist and I put it down in half, but actually it's another one like this. And I don't think I'm going to use it, but I've got a third one. Can you tell I liked a circle skirt? There was a period of time where I wore a lot of circle skirts, and this one, which is a thick green corduroy, I might save that for a different project. But these other three, I feel, could be cut into strips and stitched together. Just looking at the order there, to make a skirt with the pieces. Sometimes I get sort of a bit of guilt and think, should I sell them or donate them for someone else to wear as they are? But the best kind of recycling is actually to use in your own home what you have, because it absolutely reduces any carbon footprint, and also it means I guarantee I know that it's going to be reused. So I did a little bit of looking into that. You can't guarantee that what you donate to a charity shop will get reused. You can hope it will, and you know, it will often do good. And actually my charity shops that I donate to do let me know how much money they've raised. But actually, if I get wear out of this is actually the best option. I think they've all got zips, yes, so I'm going to position it so that one piece still has the zip, which means I don't have to do any fiddly zip bits. Challenges I've got is I think the waistbands are different heights. Yes, they are. So I've got to work about how to resolve that. And the other challenge I've got is the skirts may not be the same length, but I can just re-hem them. But I'm really looking forward to doing that. Little bit scared because they are great, but I think it's the best way forward with them. Next thing I'm going to do is something I started during the Busy Bee sewing challenge, and I did talk about it there, but I didn't finish it. I've got this zebra print and this polka dot. They're both sort of like a linen cotton fabric, and I'm going to combine them together into a shirt dress because this part has the shirt placket etc down the front, and this was a dress and that didn't fit me anymore, so they will become one, if you see what I mean. So two becomes one. I'm close to working out the solution to that. Now I was a little bit hesitant for a bit because I couldn't quite work out how to bring the zebra into the polka dots. It was still looking like two halves, but I think I've solved that now. As I say, I do have this gorgeous corduroy here. The skirt doesn't fit me, but there's a lot of fabric here. I think Adele was saying on Save for Serenity on her part of this vlog tour that you sometimes can be surprised how much fabric you need and you can't always get it out of one item. But I was thinking about keeping the buttons down the front and maybe turning it into more of a straight skirt. That way I could just lop off the top and find the width where I need the waist. If the length isn't right, then I would look at how I can get, for me, a skirt needs to be the right length. So if that doesn't work, then I need to look at spreading this whole bit of fabric out and working out what else I could make with it instead. I think it would make a lovely bag as well, with a nice lining. So it's just working out the best use for that fabric. I'm just having a rummage. Something I've mentioned before, but I'm going to be doing as part of this Sew Upcycle, is I've got another skirt that I don't wear. It's gorgeous jewel tone colours, so I am going to make a waistcoat with this one, and probably a lined waistcoat to give it a bit more thickness. So here it is. That's going to make a really gorgeous waistcoat. So hopefully that's given you some ideas. In a minute, like a magic finger, I'm going to click my fingers and then I will reappear with what I've completed and managed to do. And as if by magic, here are the results. And I'm back. Yes, as if by magic, I've changed outfit as well. Well, here I am with the results. Now, the first thing I'd like to say is this is one of the things I love about sewing, is things don't always go exactly how you want. It's part of the creative journey. So let's see what I created for my Sew Upcycle 23. So I'm going to start with the picnic blanket that I had, or tablecloth. It was sort of a yellowy colour with tassels on. It has become a jacket, and it is a Paola jacket, free pattern from the fabric store. I will put pictures in now while I'm talking so you can see me wearing it. I did a narrow shoulder adjustment, which was brilliant, and I'm really happy I did, because the first one I made, the shoulders were too wide and it was noticeable. So I narrowed the shoulders and then cut out the pieces. I included the tassel, as I mentioned, on the bottom, so laid those pieces to get the tassel. I also added a tassel into the collar, so I actually stitched it in between the two collar pieces, so that's all the way around the back, which I'm really happy with how that's turned out. And then I added a little bit of tassel at the top of the shoulders. Now, if you've watched any of my other vlogs, you will know I'm up for the details, the elevation. So it's these little things like that on the shoulder there that just make that a bit more interesting. I did the facing in a different scrap of fabric. I just thought that was quite nice. This time I did the under collar the same as the top, but all the facing goes all the way round, and just a little turn up on the cuffs as well. Very happy with how I turned that out. If you haven't tried this pattern, I highly recommend it. It is described as a workwear pattern, so it would be designed to be done right up to the top, and you can have pockets. I at this point haven't added a pocket, but probably will. And I like it when it sort of hangs open a bit, but the design is actually to button right up to here, I believe, if you look at the Paola jacket pictures. But I love playing with the pattern, and this is definitely a pattern I'm going to go back to multiple times. So that's my upcycle number one. Number two was the skirts. Now, I showed you a series of sort of plaid / tartan skirts, and I said I was going to join some together. Well, I took a bit of time laying them out, working out what works together, and someone said to me, how do I decide what to combine? And I lay things out, and I swap them over and I switch them over, and then I laid some others out, and then I finally got to what I was happy with. It's not what I originally thought was going to happen, but I actually did use the lovely dark green corduroy, and I used one of the plaid skirts, and I put these panels in. Again, I'll put a picture in here. I did the panels so that they were the right width at the top to help increase the waist size, and I did the panels at the top so that the two panels that are on the front helped me increase the waist size. But then I flared them out, because as you can see if you look at the video of how it's hanging, it creates that lovely sort of circle skirt type voluminousness, and also it really plays with the movement as well. I did this by cutting these pieces and then stitching them, one piece first, then the other bit, and obviously trying it on to check that then it made the right... Oh, it's steam train time if you can hear it. So normally I don't quite capture it for you, but the sun's out today, so there's a bit of curtain in it because I was blocking out the brightness on me, but I've managed to capture the bit of the steam train for you. I then put it on to check that these were the right width, so I was a bit generous to start with, and then just stitched in a bit further on there, and I lined it up really carefully and managed to make it the right length. If I hadn't, I would have worked out whether just to re-hem the whole thing. But I'm very happy with how it's turned out. This is going to be a great outfit for in those cold months when you need something sort of thick but you feel swooshy in it, and with tights and boots and like a nice chunky jumper or something. It's just brilliant. So I'm really happy with that. Surprised it's not exactly how I thought it was going to go, but I'm really happy with the decision I made. And that's what I love about upcycling and things, is the playing around till you get to the point where it's worked. Right, the third one is the polka dot and zebra one. I'll put a picture in now, you can see. I played around with the sleeves, and I've actually decided to go for a 3/4 length, sort of rolled up with the polka dots on the bottom, because I feel it breaks it up a bit. I might adjust those slightly so the polka dot sort of turns out more. You can see there's a little sort of, I don't know if the word is epaulette, but here I added a little polka dot bit across here because I felt it broke it up. I didn't want to put it on both sides, sort of channeling my 80s new wave there with that across there, just breaking it up. I did do the double collar, so you've got both of them here. The two skirts are joined together so that you can then continue buttoning all the way down. I definitely feel it needed a plain black belt to break it up in the middle, so I used a belt I had. I did think about adding to the skirt a leopard print pocket or two, patch pocket, to sort of bring it down, but I haven't decided yet. At one point I nearly put a polka dot pocket on the blouse part, but went for that sort of little epaulette bit instead. And then on the bottom, lots of ruffle of the zebra to bring it down to the bottom as well. Now what I would say is this: I started life with one zebra shirt and one polka dot dress. Once I realised what I wanted to do, I actually started searching whilst thrifting to find a second zebra shirt. It's by M&S, so there was a high chance, and they'd done like a shirt, a trouser, a short, all sorts in the same fabric, and I managed to find one. So that's how come I got enough fabric to make the ruffle. But the great thing is it was second hand, and I got it for a couple of £, and it just means again that I've combined it all into one very wearable outfit. I'm very pleased with how it turned out, and now I've got a lovely dress to wear out of something that I couldn't wear anymore, so there, or didn't wear as well anymore. So that's the three things I ended up with. I didn't do the shirts in time, but they may well be done by the end of the month when this challenge finishes, so do watch out in my future vlogs, because I will share if I do them, and also on Instagram I will share them as well. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I am Sequin Girly on Instagram, so come and follow me there and you can see more updated pictures. I hope you found this useful. I know for some people upcycling is their favourite thing, for other people it feels a little bit intimidating, but remember, this item of clothing has been sat around for a long time and you haven't worn it. Give it some life, give it some love, and if it goes wrong, no one will know. You can just use it for racks in the house because it's hanging around anyway. If you don't already, I'd love you to give it a like, love to give a comment, because that helps me to get other people to see me and to join in with our lovely community here. See you soon in my Sunday sews.